Something about a soldier, something about a soldier, something about a soldier that is fine, fine, fine. He may be a great big general, maybe a sergeant major, maybe a simple private up the line, line, line. But there's something about his bearing, something in what he's wearing, something about his buttons all a shine, shine, shine. Oh, a military chest seems to suit the ladies best. There's something about a soldier that is fine, fine, fine. Join the army, don't be a sissy, step right up and get a kissy.
I regret that I have but one life to give for your kiss, Betty.
Oh.
Betty.
Hurry up! Snap out of it!
Captain Fred, how handsome you look. Would you like to take a little walk?
The war starts in 5 minutes. Fall in. Duty calls. When we have conquered, I shall return to you.
Don't go away.
Company, attention. Forward, march.
Please don't leave me, Freddie. Come here. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
All heads down. Don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes. Ah. Hey! Hey!
simply the best choice on TV. HBO.
Looking back, we had no idea what to expect. We were a bunch of Americans with nothing in common, except we wanted to learn to fly.
Gentlemen, you have bravely volunteered to preserve freedom.
Captain tell you the life expectancy for pilots around here is 3 to 6 weeks.
Guy sure knows how to make friends.
All his friends are there.
This is your quarters. Frenchies sure put on a nice war.
Got any objection to rooming with a colored man?
Heard it's good luck to rub your head.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Sorry, fellas. This room's reserved for killers.
Did you, slip there, killer? Going to war in 2 days. You worried about me?
The Germans are moving toward Paris. Cassidy will be your squadron leader. Any questions?
Will we be back by lunch?
I had no idea that it was going to be like that.
Hey!
You're not going anywhere. Not till you drink with us. Thought it was only for killers.
You'll do.
I thought there's supposed to be some sort of honor in the way we fight.
You gotta find your own meaning in this war.
I'm not gonna leave you. I figure as long as I'm up in the air, they can't see me, they won't mind if I'm back.
I just watch you guys day after day, wondering how you do it.
I stay here to get the ones that killed my friends.
Together, we found the strength to discover what we were made of. Because when you risk it all, the sky's the limit.
Bandits! Hundreds of them! 6 o'clock!
It's got German markings.
Let's get them! Where are the damn fighters going? Is there anything left of our escort? Mayday! Mayday! Prepare to bail out!
Our boys are getting cut to shreds.
I need pilots who will put the bombers ahead of themselves.
When we came under your command, Colonel, you stated very clearly that we would never find Negroes who could pass a pilot's exam, make it through flight school, survive basic combat. We've done all of that.
I don't believe your boys have scored a single aerial kill.
It's damn hard to shoot down the enemy 100 miles behind the front lines.
What we do, how well we do it, does it matter?
And you all thought what? You'd sign up, and that'd be the end of 100 years of bigotry. Get your head up, son. You're fighter pilots.
We have a right to fight for our country, the same as every other American. We will not go away.
I can't afford the kind of losses my bombers have been suffering. Can you help save lives?
If you get us new planes, we can help your boys.
Nothing's difficult. Everything's a challenge. Through adversity to the stars. From the last plane to the last bullet to the last minute to the last man, we fight. We fight. We fight. We fight. We fight. We fight.
At all costs, you protect the heavies.
Fighters, 4 o'clock. Stay with the bombers.
One bomber, that's 10 men. We count our victories by the bombers we get to their targets. By the husbands we return to their wives. By the fathers we get back to their children.
Come on, Junior, fail!
His name is synonymous with the words fighter pilot. He was the ace of aces, the most deadly aviator of World War I. The ultimate duelist, he personally shot down an astonishing 80 airplanes. He was a supreme professional in a new and deadly profession. And 75 years after his death, combat pilots continue to study his aerial tactics. Recent generations of Americans may recognize him as the unseen foe of a cartoon beagle who imagines himself a World War I flying ace and his doghouse to be a Sopwith camel. But long before his battles with Snoopy, he was a legend all by himself. A young Prussian cavalry officer who took to the air in a personal quest for glory and became the most famous wartime aviator in history, Manfred von Richthofen. Manfred von Richthofen was born in German Silesia on May 2nd, 1892, into the kind of aristocratic family of middle rank who were the backbone of the Prussian military tradition. Manfred was the first of 3 sons born to a retired career military officer, Albrecht von Richthofen, who had suffered injuries in the cavalry.
His father was a retired military officer. He had a disability. He was clever enough to marry a landed woman who had lots of money, and they lived a nice life, not luxurious by modern standards, but by the standards of Silesia, quite luxurious. In landed aristocracy, money was not the main thing. Land was everything, and so there wasn't a lot of currency. For example, Manfred von Richthofen was not sent on a world tour as a young, rich, aristocratic Englishman might have been. Instead, he was a part of their hunting scene. He was a hunter from early on.
As a boy, Manfred was an indifferent student, preferring hunting and horseback riding to his lessons. Until he was sent away to school, the young baron would spend hours alone on the family estate hunting small game. It became a passion he would carry the rest of his life. At the tender age of 11, Manfred was enrolled in military school to prepare him for the Royal Prussian Military Academy in Lichterfelde.
I entered the cadet corps as a boy of 11. I was not particularly eager to become a cadet, but my father wished it, and I was not consulted. Manfred von Richthofen.
The military school background really prepared him for what he had to do in combat. He was a smaller than average young man, slight of build. He became very competitive in sports. He set out to beat the bigger boys at their own game, the bigger boys, the older boys. It gave him a great sense of self-discipline, the proper sense of self-denial. And so you could say that Manfred von Richthofen began becoming the Red Baron the day he walked into military school.
Manfred received no better than passing grades in his studies. In spring 1911, he emerged from the Senior Cadet Academy and joined a crack regiment of cavalry, and by that fall was commissioned lieutenant. Life as a young cavalry officer agreed with him. He was being paid to do one of the things he liked most, riding horses. It would not be long before his profession required he make the most of his other favorite passion, hunting. In June 1914, Archduke Ferdinand of Austria, heir to the Habsburg throne, was assassinated in Sarajevo. Austria declared war on Serbia. Russia mobilized in support of Serbia, and days later, Germany declared war on Russia, and then France. The Great War had begun. At the beginning of World War I, the aeroplane was little more than a decade old. To many, it was considered a contraption with no serious purpose in war. But the machine gun was fast changing the face of modern warfare. Infantry on both sides were forced to dig entrenchments to escape its fearsome killing power. Cavalry, the traditional means of reconnaissance and swift attack, was suddenly obsolete. Balloons were launched for observation, but these were large and stationary, easy targets for enemy guns. Seemingly overnight, the aeroplane became strategically vital, first as a way to observe enemy ground movements from a safe altitude, and then as a means of aggression, preventing the enemy from looking at your ground movements. Piloting these early fighter planes required a special blend of skill, endurance, keen eyesight, courage, and marksmanship. There were plenty of volunteers, To the soldier in the trench, the prospect of soaring above the horrors and lice-ridden privations of the front lines was like a dream, and flyers they knew could look forward to clean sheets and hot food every night. The dream was a far cry from reality. The life expectancy for a new pilot was 2 weeks. Soon after the outbreak of hostilities, Manfred von Richthofen found himself an officer in an outmoded service, and worse, assigned to supply duty.
In this manner, I passed several months, and now I had enough of it. I sent a letter to my commanding general, and evil tongues report that I told him, "My dear Excellency, I have not gone to war in order to collect cheese and eggs, but for another purpose." At first, the people above wanted to snarl at me, but then they fulfilled my wish. Thus, I joined the flying service at the end of May 1915. My greatest wish was fulfilled. Manfred von Richthofen.
Von Richthofen was transferred to an aviation training unit in Cologne to determine his suitability as an aerial observer. Combat in the sky had escalated. Reconnaissance flights became bombing missions. The role of observer evolved into that of gunner, first with pistols, then rifles, and ultimately machine guns.
The development of fighting in the sky was a direct byproduct of the technology of the airplanes and the weapons that were designed at that time. The problem is when you're flying an airplane, your legs are busy with the pedals, your hand is busy with the stick, and your other hand is busy managing the engine. You don't have any freedom to shoot at other people. One solution is to put an observer with the gun. That means 2 people. That means weight, that means a bigger airplane, clumsier maneuverability. The other solution is to put a machine gun fixed on the airplane, and then the job of the fighter would be to point his airplane, using it as the gun, to shoot at the enemy. That ability to have the airplane maneuver to a firing position is what develops modern aerial warfare, the dogfighting techniques.
Their basic concept was kind of to come aside an aircraft and shoot at each other like sailing ships out of Napoleonic War. One Russian, who probably gets the award for the most innovative person, he actually used a grappling hook to try and bring down an airplane, and he did. He also brought himself down at the same time.
Anthony Fokker was a young Dutch aircraft engineer who since 1913 had been manufacturing German warplanes and wrestling with the problem of arming them.
The problem was how to have the machine gun fire without hitting the propeller. The French ace Roland Garros had a triangular steel plate put on the propeller so that when the bullet struck the propeller, it would deflect the bullet. That's not the optimal solution. You're going to be bending your propeller and you're going to have bullets flying all over the place.
Garros shot down 4 or 5 aircraft in this manner. When he himself was shot down, his aircraft was examined by the Germans, and Fokker was asked to develop a gun that could fire through the propeller but not hit the propellers. Legend is that Fokker did this in a week. Actually, it's felt that Fokker had been developing this idea for a long period of time.
With the development of Anthony Fokker's interrupter gear for front-mounted machine guns, the war in the sky began in earnest. Combat pilots kept score, recording their kills. Competition grew within units. A new term was coined for the flyers with the most kills: ace.
The Shining Knight on the White Charger image was developed from these men who had the courage and the temerity to go out with the purpose that they were going to shoot down an enemy airplane. And if they lost, they lost their life. They didn't have parachutes, there was no escape, and if a fuel tank was hit, they had a horrible death. So it was a form of jousting, and this attracted the public attention, captured their imagination.
The war was hideous. Flying was new. Flyers were already popular in Europe, but the combination of the flyer soldier, the man who had a series of victories, was absolutely intoxicating to the press, and so they became lionized. They would get gifts from all over. They'd get dozens of boxes of cigars, boxes of chocolates. Women would send them MASH notes and so forth. So it was a phenomenon that occurred in all countries.
To the boy hunter, the glory of this new game was irresistible. War in the Sky held for Manfred von Richthofen the promise of everything he valued and longed for: adventure, danger, the hunt, and ultimately, glory. He had been born and bred for this conflict, this adventure. It was his time, his destiny, and he knew it.
The next morning at 7 o'clock, I was to fly for the first time as an observer. I was naturally very excited, for I had no idea what it would be like. We drove to the flying ground and I got into the flying machine for the first time. Before I knew what was happening, the pilot went ahead at full speed. I clutched the sides of the car. Suddenly the machine was in the air and the earth dropped away from under me. I lost all sense of direction above our field. I had not the slightest notion where I was. I began very cautiously to look over the side at the country. The men looked ridiculously small. The houses seemed to come out of a child's toy box. Everything seemed pretty. It was a glorious feeling to be so high above the earth, to be master of the air. Memoirs, Manfred von Richthofen.
If you are an observer, calling the fall of shells, dropping bombs, and so forth, it's not noted in the presses. If you're a pilot and shoot down 4 airplanes or 5 airplanes in the course of a week or so, your names are in all the communiques, your names are in the popular press. The Germans were much more concerned about their aces than were the other countries. All of the German aces appeared, for example, on postcards that were sold around the country. And it's quite a bit of pleasure to see your countenance on postcards being mailed all over the country, and Richthofen wanted that sort of glory.
Not content to be an observer, Richthofen persuaded a friend to teach him to fly. In October 1915, Manfred von Richthofen soloed for the first time.
The day that he soloed, he crashed the plane on landing. Richthofen was not a good pilot. Richthofen was an excellent marksman. And his ability to shoot was what made him what he was.
Recently, I nosedived into the ground with my Fokker. Witnesses were more than a little astonished when, after quite some time, I crawled out of the heap of rubble totally unhurt. I am entertaining the thought of going to Bolka and asking about becoming his student. Manfred von Richthofen.
Oswald Bolka was Germany's ranking fighter pilot. By the time Richthofen joined the air service, Bolka was already famous as a flying ace.
Richthofen and Bolka met first on a train on the Eastern Front, and Richthofen approached Bolka and asked him, "How do you do it?" And he said, "I just get close." And Richthofen thought that there's got to be more to this, but the answer was that you just get close. And the reason for that is that the vibrations and air currents around a World War I aircraft are so great that at 100 yards, that bullet had a probability of being anywhere within a 30-foot circle. And so it's absolutely essential that you get as close to the enemy as possible in order to bring him down.
Richthofen, once he got into the Air Corps, wasn't necessarily the best pilot that Oswald Bolka had ever seen, but Bolka worked with him. When I was a student, an instructor, and then commanding officer of the adversary squadron, we taught much of the same things that Oswald Bolka taught Richthofen how to fly. Richthofen, Oswald Bolka, Immelman were the pioneers of Top Gun and modern-day flying today.
Bolka had established a set of rules for air fighting and self-preservation called Bolka's Dicta. He taught them to his eager young students, including Richthofen, his most famous exponent, who proved them in action and passed them down to future generations of pilots. Rule number 1, get close, preferably at an angle where you can shoot him and he can't hit you. Climb before the attack to get speed and dive from the rear. Use the cover of clouds and the glare of the sun. Attack when the enemy least suspects it. Wait till the enemy is within range and in your sights. Turn as tight as you can to wind up on your opponent's tail. Never turn your back and run. Foolish acts of bravery are fatal.
Aerial combat's essentially murder. The ideal aerial combat for any pilot is to come up behind the other guy when he doesn't know you're there, and you kill him, and battle's over. That's the ideal combat. The idea of saying, I'm here, let's fight, is not ideal combat.
One of the pilots had asked Bulka, who do you think will be the hotshot in this group? And he pointed to Richthofen. Now, this is before Richthofen had done much. But he had seen this quality in Richthofen and realized that Richthofen had this capability.
As a rule, when they first came to the squadron, they usually lived about 2 weeks. And the reason for this was they could not see in the air. They could not see another airplane 2 or 3 miles away. This was a developed skill.
When von Richthofen first came in the unit, he had still not become a wildly proficient pilot. He was still not the acrobatic ace. In fact, he eschewed aerobatics. He just thought that they were a waste of time. But he was a superb marksman, and it was not long before he began scoring. And once he had begun scoring, then his star was on the rise.
As a young hunter in the woods around the family estate in Silesia, Manfred would bring home trophies of his kills. These would be mounted and hung on the walls of his room. In this way, he kept record of his achievements. In October 1915, as an observer, Richthofen had shot down a plane, but the kill could not be confirmed. The following March, a pilot now, he shot down a French Nieuport, but still could not get confirmation. On his first mission under Bulka, Richthofen shot down a British plane, and this time the frustrated flyer landed his plane next to the wreck of his victim and cut the serial number off the plane. This time he would have confirmation. That night, von Richthofen ordered a silver cup from a Berlin silversmith as a trophy. He would continue to follow this tradition, one plane, one cup, until late in the war when it became too difficult to find silver. By that time, he had 50 cups on his mantelpiece. The serial numbers themselves, strips of linen cut from the sides of his victims whenever possible, literally papered the walls of his trophy room.
When Richthofen watched Bulka die, and he saw it from the air, right alongside of him, saw the crash, saw the wing disintegrate in the air, and at this point in time, he knew that Bulka had it. The shock to the unit was probably a realization that if this could happen to him, Bulka, the master, it could happen to me.
At first, Bulka went down normally. I followed him immediately. Later, one of the wings broke away and he went rushing down. His skull was crushed on impact. He died instantly. It affected all of us very deeply, as if a favorite brother had been taken from us. The funeral was like that of a reigning prince. In 6 weeks, we have had 6 killed and 1 wounded. 2 are washed up because of their nerves. Yesterday, I shot down my 6th and 7th. My nerves have not yet suffered as a result of the others' bad luck. Manfred von Richthofen.
On the day of Bulka's funeral, British pilots dropped a wreath with a note that read, "To the memory of Captain Bulka, our brave and chivalrous foe." That same day, von Richthofen went aloft, sought out a British plane, and shot it down, exacting a measure of personal vengeance. It is here that the legend of the Red Baron begins. The death of Bulka left the stage clear for a new player to capture the imagination of the German people and fuel the propaganda machine. Manfred von Richthofen was ready. A month after the death of his hero Bulka, Richthofen confronted the British ace Major Lano Hawker, who with 9 victories was the first recipient of the Victoria Cross for air fighting. The duel began at 10,000 feet.
I was soon keenly aware that I was not dealing with a beginner, for he did not even dream of breaking off the fight. To be sure, he had a very maneuverable crate, but mine climbed better, and so I succeeded in getting above and behind the Englishman. Manfred von Richthofen.
Richthofen's machine guns jammed as he closed in. Flying his plane with one hand, he banged on the guns with a small hammer until at last they cleared, and he was able to fire a burst, killing Hawker just 150 feet above the ground.
Von Richthofen was a success because he was a very intelligent hunter. He knew how to make an attack, and of course he had great confidence, which is half the battle. He would go in expecting to be triumphant, and he usually was.
In January 1917, with 16 victories to his credit, Lieutenant von Richthofen was given command of his own fighter squadron, Jagdstaffel 11. Though it pained him personally to leave the comrades of Bolka's old squadron, he recognized the opportunities such an advancement presented. 2 days after receiving orders to Jasta 11, a telegram from headquarters informed Richthofen that Kaiser Wilhelm had awarded him the achievement he had sought so aggressively, the Pour le Mérite, or Blue Max. It was 1 year to the day since the same honor had gone to Bolka.
When Imperial Germany came to honoring its first 2 highly successful fighter pilots with a decoration that has become popularly known as the Blue Max, they gave it to 2 pilots who had shot down 8 aircraft apiece. One of those pilots was Oswald Brölke, who was Richthofen's mentor and role model. A year to the day later, when Manfred von Richthofen received this same award, he had shot down 16 airplanes. The ante had gone up. By the end of the war, he had to shoot down 30 airplanes to get the Blue Max.
When Richthofen arrived at Jasta 11's airfield at La Bréelle, he was Germany's highest-scoring ace. As a leader, he planned to take up where the great Bolka had left off, surrounding himself with the men he thought had the greatest potential for success. Then, with stern and patient guidance, he would mold his team into an efficient and deadly fighting force. In March 1917, Lothar von Richthofen, who had soloed for the first time a month before, joined Manfred's squadron, eager to make a name for himself independent of his famous brother.
You couldn't have 2 brothers that were more different. Richthofen was very reserved, very cool, very standoffish. He was also about 5'5". His brother Lothar was 6 feet tall, an extrovert, and one of the most popular people in the squadron. The only connection they really had was the competitiveness or the sibling rivalry that sometimes exists between 2 brothers. We doubt whether Manfred ever really had a girlfriend. We don't ever doubt whether Lothar had a girlfriend. He had lots of them.
Richthofen was unequaled as an instructor. Every young pilot who came to his staffel had to fly a few times to the front alone with Richthofen. After the flight, the details of what the beginner had seen and experienced were discussed thoroughly. Lieutenant Friedrich Wilhelm Lübbert.
Almost on a whim, the legend of the Red Baron is born.
For whatever reasons, one fine day I came upon the idea of having my crate painted glaring red. The result was that absolutely everyone could not help but notice my red bird. In fact, my opponents also seemed to be not entirely unaware of it. Memoirs, Manfred von Richthofen.
So he painted his plane red. This is a pretty audacious thing for somebody to do. I mean, this guy really had balls, and that's no better word.
It had become known that the British had put a price on my brother's head. Every flyer on the other side knew him, for at the time he alone flew a red-painted aeroplane. For that reason, it had long been our wish to have all aeroplanes of our Staffel painted red, and we implored my brother to allow it so he would not be so especially conspicuous. Lothar von Richthofen.
And Richthofen said, no, mine will be all red, yours will have to have some other color. So Lothar painted his red with yellow, Schaefer painted his red with black, Allmenroder painted his red with white, Wolf painted his red with green, and so forth.
The red color signified a certain insolence. Everyone knew that. It attracted attention. Consequently, one had to really perform. Lothar von Richthofen.
April 1917. Bloody April. In the course of one violent month, the British Flying Corps had 1/3 of its active planes shot down. Richthofen himself accounted for 21 of them. By the last day of April, newly promoted Captain Manfred von Richthofen had 52 confirmed enemy kills, 12 more than his hero Bolka. Headquarters ordered him to go on leave. Manfred turned the reins of Jasta 11 over to Lothar and prepared for a triumphant return home. The Kaiser wanted to meet him. On the day he lunched with the Kaiser, May 2nd, 1917, Germany's ace of aces celebrated his 25th birthday. The young ace had captured the imagination of a nation. In his spare moments, Richthofen began to dictate his memoirs to a stenographer. The finished book, The Red Battle Flyer, was an immediate bestseller.
Manfred von Richthofen tells the story that at one point, a man came up to him on the street and had a pack of 50 postcards with his picture on it and asked him to sign them. And so Manfred was so delighted with this new hero status, he signed all 50 postcards. And then the man walked away and started walking down the street, and he was selling them for twice what he paid for them because they had Richthofen's signature. And then after that, that's when Richthofen realized, well, being a hero is nice, but there are people who will take advantage of a hero too.
Perhaps as much to escape from the public eye as to renew himself, Richthofen holidayed in the Black Forest. Here he could relax with a familiar pastime, recalling the carefree days of his youth. The hunter went hunting. While Manfred was on leave, Lothar was shot down by Captain Albert Ball, Britain's 20-year-old ace. Ball crashed and died after the engagement. Lothar escaped serious injury, but little more than a week later was shot down again. This time, the wounds were more serious. Manfred von Richthofen returned to the Western Front with new responsibilities. He had been appointed commander of the 1st Jagdgeschwader, a fighter group composed of 4 Jasta squadrons. Geschwader 1 remains to this day the most famous assemblage in aviation history. It was known as the Flying Circus.
They called it a flying circus because it traveled by train just like circuses do. The Germans were short-handed. They had to have their aircraft mobile so that they had a system by which they could pack up on a train, move 40 miles, and be ready to go the next day. It was an outstanding system used again in the Second World War.
That July, in a skirmish with a flight of British 2-seater biplanes, the image of Richthofen as invincible warrior suffered a staggering blow.
I watched as the observer, in great excitement, fired at me. I calmly let him shoot, for even the best sharpshooter's marksmanship could not help at a distance of 300 meters. One just does not hit. Manfred von Richthofen.
2 German aircraft came at us head-on, and I think that the first one was Richthofen. I recall there wasn't a thing on that machine that wasn't red, and God, how he could fly. I opened fire with the front Lewis, and so did Kunnel with the side gun. Kunnel held the FE to a course, and so did the pilot of the all-red Scout. Gad, with our combined speeds, we must have been approaching each other at 250 miles an hour. Second Lieutenant Albert E. Woodbridge, Royal Flying Corps.
Suddenly, there was a blow to my head. I was hit. For a moment, I was completely paralyzed. My hands dropped to the side, my legs dangled inside the fuselage. The worst part was that the blow on the head had affected my optic nerve, and I was completely blinded. The machine dived down. Memoirs, Manfred von Richthofen.
Richthofen regained consciousness and was able to land his plane on a grass field behind his own lines.
I had quite a respectable hole in my head, a wound of about 10 centimeters across. In one place, clear white bone remained exposed. My thick Richthofen head had once again proved itself. Memoirs, Manfred von Richthofen.
Richthofen the man had been shot down, yet the Red Baron's image as the invincible warrior, bolstered by the German press, continued to fly high. Captain Richthofen took pains to assure his men he was not badly hurt and would return to duty shortly. The value of his presence as a source of inspiration and morale was not lost on him. Besides the headaches brought on by his head wound, the German ace suffered from other powerful stress factors as well. He was losing far too many good pilots due to equipment.
Our aircraft, quite frankly, are ridiculously inferior to British aircraft. The Sopwith triplane and the Spad, as well as the Sopwith Camel, play with our Albatros. In addition to having better aircraft, there are far more of them. The people at home have brought out no new machines for almost a year. Only these lousy Albatrosses. Manfred von Richthofen.
The German High Command, in view of Richthofen's importance both as leader and propaganda symbol, ordered him not to fly unless it was absolutely necessary. But the Red Baron would not be grounded.
I have been told by people in high places that I should give up flying, for one day it will catch up with me. I would be miserable with myself if now, burdened by glory and decorations, I were to become a pensioner of my own dignity in order to save my precious life for the nation, while every poor fellow in the trenches endures his duty as I do mine. Manfred von Richthofen.
On August 16, 1917, 40 days after he was shot down, Manfred von Richthofen was in the air again. Accompanied by 4 aircraft from Staffel 11, he claimed his 58th victory. The experience left him dizzy and exhausted. By the end of the month, the long-anticipated new Fokker triplanes were arriving in Richthofen's command. On September 1st, Manfred scored his 60th victory in the new plane. This 3-winged model, while not as fast as the British Sopwith Camel or the French Spad, was far more maneuverable than the Albatross. With Richthofen in the cockpit, it would become one of the most famous flying machines of all time. That September, Manfred began the 4-week leave he was all but ordered to take. He hunted for relaxation, but was interrupted with the news of the deaths of his close friend Kurt Wolff and his chief rival Werner Voss. On a visit home, his mother noticed a change in Manfred.
To my horror, I have ascertained that Manfred's head injury has not yet healed. The bone is still exposed. Day after day, he goes to a local medical aid station to have his bandage changed. He does not look good, and he is irritable. Previously, it seems to me that he was like young Siegfried, the invulnerable. Freifrau von Richthofen.
I am in wretched spirits after every aerial combat, but that is surely one of the consequences of my head wound. When I put my foot on the ground again at the airfield, I go directly to my room. I do not want to see anyone or hear anything. I believe that war is not as people at home imagine it, with a hurrah and a roar. It is very serious, very grim. Manfred von Richthofen.
Before returning to the front, Manfred attended the wedding of an old friend and was mistakenly reported by a confused local journalist to be the bridegroom. News of the Red Baron's marriage made headlines all over Germany. Manfred wrote his father to assure him the story was false.
I cannot indulge myself in the rite of marriage as long as I am liable to die any day. I myself could imagine quite well enjoying my life as a carefree bachelor right up to the blessed end. Manfred von Richthofen.
To the world, the Red Baron seemed invincible, but the headaches from his wound reminded him otherwise. A somber, more withdrawn Richthofen returned to his command in late October. There were getting to be fewer and fewer familiar faces there to greet him. By the end of 1917, Richthofen was the last surviving member of Boelke's original squadron. Statistically, at least, his number had been up a long time. As the new year dawned, von Richthofen's score stood at 63. But with each new victory came the haunting realization that the next one could be the last. Increasingly, the leader became more isolated from his men.
After he was shot down in April 1917, he had combat fatigue, plain and simple. He kept pushing himself to the limit and beyond as he had done before, and would come back from flights with pounding headaches, and just got to be in worse and worse shape. He really should have quit at that point.
On the 27th of March, 1918, Richthofen shot down 3 British planes to bring his score to 70. More and more of his victims seemed to be perishing in flames, a fact that had begun to haunt Manfred.
I could see the pilot and the observer twisting out of their aeroplane seats to escape the flames. The machine did not burn in the air, but gradually burned on the way down. It fell out of control to the ground where it exploded and burned into ashes. It is a strange feeling. There once again a pair of men shot dead. They lie somewhere all burned up, and I myself sit here every day at the table, and the food tastes as good as ever. Manfred von Richthofen.
He had outlived all his rivals. Now there was no one left to challenge Richthofen as Germany's ace of aces, yet he continued to fly in his relentless pursuit of immortality. He was idolized in the German press, and for some time his commanders had been urging him to stop flying. Even his mother had asked him to give it up.
Would it please you more if I were in some safe place resting on my laurels? Who would fight the war if we all felt like that? Only the soldier in the trenches. When the professional fails at leadership, it will soon be as it is in Russia. Manfred von Richthofen.
By April 1918, the flying circus had moved to Kappy Airfield, a desolate base with rain-soaked tents serving for barracks that depressed Richthofen.
In my dugouts there hangs from the ceiling a lamp I made from an aircraft engine. It came from an airplane that I shot down. I mounted light bulbs in the cylinders, and at night, the ceiling looks fantastic. When I lie like that, I have much to think about. I write this down without knowing whether anyone other than my closest relatives will ever see it. The battle now taking place on all fronts has become dreadfully serious. There is nothing left of the lively, merry war as our deeds were once called in the beginning. Now we must arm ourselves against despair so that the enemy will not violate our country. Manfred von Richthofen.
On April 20th, Captain von Richthofen shot down his 80th victim. He had now scored twice as many victories as the great Bolka. It was rumored the Kaiser himself was going to order Richthofen to stop flying. Kappy Field was fogged in the morning of April 21st, delaying the takeoffs of Richthofen's squadron. At around 10:30, a strong wind began to clear away the mist. It came from the east, which was not a good sign for the Germans, who relied on the predominant westerly winds to aid their escape home after a fight. As Richthofen was about to climb into his triplane, a mechanic asked him to autograph a postcard. "What's the matter?" the ace asked him jokingly. "Are you afraid I'm not coming back?" Richthofen took off in his new Fokker DR-1 triplane, painted dark red. Approaching the front lines, the Germans encountered a flight of Sopwith camels led by a Canadian, Captain Roy Brown, and began pairing off into individual skirmishes with the Royal Air Force flyers. A young Canadian second lieutenant, W.R. Wap May, newest member of Brown's squadron, dove on a triplane but jammed his guns in the process. He turned and ran for home. Richthofen spotted this easy target and went after him.
The first thing I knew, I was being fired on from the rear. All I could do was try to dodge my attacker. I noticed it was a red triplane, but if I realized it was Richthofen, I would have probably passed out on the spot. I kept on dodging and spinning from about 12,000 feet until I ran out of sky and had to head chop over the ground. Richthofen was firing at me continually, and the only thing that saved me was my poor flying. I didn't know what I was doing myself, and I did not suppose that Richthofen could figure out what I was going to do. Second Lieutenant W.R. May, Royal Air Force.
Captain Roy Brown saw May's predicament and dove to the rescue. Before Richthofen knew he was there, Brown fired a burst into him. The German ace turned around as if in surprise and then slumped to the side.
I felt that he had me cold, and I was in such a state of mind at this time that I had to restrain myself from pushing my stick forward into the river as I knew I had had it. I looked around again and saw Richthofen do a spin and a half and then hit the ground. Second Lieutenant W.R. May.
The Fokker bounced and skidded to a stop in a sector held by Australian troops. Neither Wap May nor Roy Brown had any idea the downed German pilot was Richthofen. Australian infantry found the young captain frozen to the controls, dead. A single gunshot through his chest had pierced his heart. At least twice during Richthofen's pursuit of May, running at barely treetop level, the German had been fired on by Australian machine gun emplacements on the ground. The caliber of bullets they fired was the same as those from Roy Brown's guns. To this day, despite extensive investigations and studies, no one is certain where the fatal bullet came from. Captain Roy Brown was unofficially credited with the victory.
The controversy about von Richthofen's death exists primarily because he is so famous. Everybody wanted to be the conqueror of the Red Baron. Roy Brown, the man who, for most people's opinion, shot him down, was really quite modest about it for most of his life. He became a little bit irritated when the Australian gunners firing from the ground claimed to have done it. I think that we'll never know absolutely for sure. I think probably it was Captain Roy Brown that shot him down.
There's a great controversy as to who shot down Manfred von Richthofen. The camp is pretty evenly split. In my own view, the evidence strongly suggests that since he was flying so low, literally down the Somme Valley and at eye level with infantry soldiers, it looks to me like an Australian infantryman got lucky He just fired the fatal shot and put it right through him.
My conclusion is Roy Braun shot him down. It is a little bit more glamorous and a little bit more acceptable that he was shot down by a Knight of the Air than some infantryman on the ground.
Richthofen's body was examined by Allied medical officers, then laid out inside an aeroplane hangar. The following day, he was buried with full military honors in a small French cemetery by the enemy with whom he had fought so ferociously the last 3 years. A funeral wreath bore the inscription, "To our gallant and worthy foe."
Richthofen, when he was taken from his crashed plane, and as soon as they knew who he was treated with extraordinary kindness. The things that the British did, I found absolutely amazing. There was an autopsy. When did they ever autopsy an enemy pilot? And why? They did that, and then the burial with honors. This is totally extraordinary.
The Red Baron's death was a terrible blow to German morale and came at a bad time as the big offensive on the Western Front was beginning to falter. He had been a champion, a symbol of invincibility and pride, and his fall foreshadowed the bigger fall to come.
It's just tragic national news, and then he went from a national hero almost to a national martyr because he had died this warrior's death. It was a very Teutonic thing. He was this the modern embodiment of the old Teutonic Knights, right down to the Iron Cross design on the wings of the airplane. He was a member of the aristocracy himself, and he died nobly in battle. At that point, the legend of Manfred von Richthofen begins.
The glorification of this man persists to this day. There's probably been more books written about Manfred Friar von Richthofen than Abraham Lincoln. He was a personification of a noble spirit.
In 1925, 7 years after Germany's defeat, Richthofen's remains were taken by train to Berlin, where they were reburied in a place of honor. 12 years later, Hermann Goering, who eventually succeeded Richthofen as commander of Jagdgeschwader 1, dedicated a much larger memorial on the same spot, hoping to appropriate the Richthofen legend for the Third Reich. But even in death, the memory of the noble warrior could not be sullied in the mire of Nazi propaganda. Richthofen, the Teutonic Knight, is immortal after all. The man had fallen, but the myth endures. The legend of the Bloody Red Baron has never been shot down.
Enjoy 24-hour-a-day entertainment here on HBO.
Tonight I come to you with a pledge to change America's policy. Atrocity and terror are not political weapons, and to those who would use them, your day is over.
In a speech tonight in Moscow, the president issued a direct challenge to terrorist nations
But the
around
question
the world.
remains, what are the risks involved in such a bold policy initiative?
They hated your speech, didn't they?
We're afraid we won't have the guts to back it up.
Air Force One clear for takeoff. Thank you for your hospitality, Moscow.
Air Force One with emergency call. Where's my family?
The president's plane, Air Force One, has been hijacked.
What do they want?
They want General Radek released from prison.
I will execute the hostage every half an hour.
What are our airborne scenarios?
There are no airborne scenarios.
My husband will not negotiate.
His wife, his daughter. I think he'll negotiate.
How the hell did this happen? How the hell did they get Air Force One?
Your national security advisor has been executed. He just bought you another half hour.
Sir, your parachute.
I'm not leaving without my family. You know who I am? I'm the President of the United States.
Jim isn't making this decision as a president. He's making it as a husband and a father.
Let's not forget this president is a Medal of Honor winner. He knows how to fight.
He has no right to take chances with his life.
We cannot give in to their demands. We've got a job to do.
It makes me so proud, Mr. President, that you stuck with us.
You know your father, he has also killed.
You're nothing like my father.
We're tracking 6 MiGs. I'm sending in our F-15s to protect you.
She said MiGs? In a war, people die.
The president is up there with a gun to his head.
I'll do anything to save my family. Don't ask me for something I can't give.
You could finish this with one phone call!
They are America's first line of defense. Best of friends.
Sorry, Captain. Snap of the earth. Here we go.
Fierce competitors.
Very nicely done. Almost as good as me.
Ready to protect our nation against any threat.
Carrying the nukes. You love having the power of God at your fingertips.
Not tonight, buddy.
But what if the enemy is one of them?
What the hell are you doing?
We got pilots down.
We got ourselves a broken arrow.
A broken what?
It's what we call it when we lose a nuclear weapon.
I don't know what's scarier, losing nuclear weapons, or that it happens so often there's actually a term for it.
The only thing more dangerous than what he knows.
They believe they've got an exposed core. They gotta send in a nuclear emergency search team. By the time they find us, we'll be gone.
Is what he's prepared to do.
$250 million by 0900 Utah time. If you have not... Good God. I don't know what the big deal is. I really don't.
But there's one thing
Smile, boys. We're about to retire.
he didn't count on.
I know his mind works. You gotta let me go after him.
Outstanding, Hal. That's the spirit. Would you mind not shooting at the thermonuclear weapons?
And what are we doing?
If you enter the wrong code 3 times, the nuke goes dead.
Unless, of course, I already thought of that ahead of time. You just activated a nuclear warhead, my friend. The clock is ticking. Care for a Coke or something?
John Travolta,
You lose.
Christian Slater,
You're out of your mind.
Ain't it cool?
Broken Arrow, a John Woo film.
February 2nd, 1917. Dear Ned, I've finally arrived back in France from the African front. After my experience there, I've decided that whatever I can do to stop this war is all that matters now. To this end, my friend Remy and I have joined the Belgian Intelligence Corps. They're training us in the techniques of military espionage, wiretapping, code breaking, and photographic analysis. The classroom work is dull, but after the carnage of the trenches in Africa, it is welcome relief. However, we found that Belgian intelligence is badly organized and ineffective when compared to the intelligence services of the British or the French. In fact, the whole program is considered a joke, and no one takes it seriously. Sometimes it seems like I'm back in high school. Our time is wasted here. The slaughter continues on the Western Front with no end in sight. I now feel that I must take desperate measure to get into the action. I've got to find a way to transfer to the French. Take care, Indy.
You should have stuck with me last night. That bar has improved since basic training. What's this?
I forged this from the French army, requesting that we join them. I forged this from the Belgians, requesting that we join the French.
Where did you get these papers?
I lifted them from the French operations office. The same place that I got these. Remy. All I need you to do is deliver them.
What if they find out? We'll be put in jail?
No, Remy, they won't. My spying techniques are incredible.
It's too risky.
Remy, this is why we're here. Don't you remember what Dr. Schweitzer said? Good is that which promotes life. Evil is that which destroys it.
If we go to jail, we won't be promoting anything.
If we can become real spies, maybe we could do something to stop the fighting.
This will never work. This will never work.
Captain Défense?
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Bedouin?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the French Secret Service. Please sit. I'm impressed with you, gentlemen. Your records with the Belgian army are outstanding. Especially the forged signature on this letter of transfer. We can use men like you. Now, I just have a few questions before we assign you. Bedouin, can you cook?
Oh, yes, I'm a good cook.
Captain Défense?
I can boil an egg.
Do you have any knowledge of airplanes?
No.
Yes, sir. Yes, I've flown several times.
Good. Now, you'll both wait here. I will take this to my commander, and we will get you your assignments.
What are you doing?
I'm telling the truth.
Cooking? You're gonna end up housekeeping, not spying.
Well, why did you say you could fly? You hate flying.
Adieu, gentlemen, please sit. Bedouin, you're going home.
I am?
Are you familiar with the Café Noir in Brussels?
Yes.
You are its new proprietor. All our spies will report to you. You will be our main contact with the White Lady, which is the code name for the Belgian underground.
You're trusting us with that?
No, that is Bedouin's assignment. As for you, Défense, we're not sure where to place you as yet. But for the time being, we'll send you back to the Western Front. photographic reconnaissance. It'll only be for 2 weeks, Captain, until we can place you where your talents can be fully employed. Adwan, come with me. I want you to meet someone who will brief you on your assignment.
Remy. So, what do you think? Albert is my new name. See, I have the papers.
Captain Defonce, it's time to go. I gotta go.
Do you think we shall see each other again?
I don't know.
I don't want to say goodbye, but I will say thank you.
I'm just gonna be looking at photos all day. You're the one that's landed on his feet. Behind enemy lines, helping the resistance.
Thanks to you.
Yeah. Well, take care of yourself, Remy.
Indeed. Go on. Go. Go.
Remy, stay alive.
Where you headed, Captain?
124th Squadron at Ravenel.
Ah, the American squadron.
American? America's not in the war.
It's American volunteers fighting for France. French put them all in one flying unit along with a bunch of old aeroplanes. You a pilot?
No, photographer.
Yeah, flying's insane, let alone in wartime with a gang of rowdy American cowboys. I'll take the trenches, thank you.
Watch out, sir! These Americans are a crazy bunch!
Whiskey! Don't worry, he won't hurt you. He's our squadron mascot. He's just saying hello.
Hello, Whiskey. Captain Defonce reporting for duty.
I'm Raoul Lufberry.
I'm looking for the photographic division.
Follow me.
So you're the replacement?
Replacement?
Yes. The last man's gear is over there. Cameras, plates, everything you need. Your airplane arrived this morning.
Sir, you said airplane?
Yeah, new Sopper two-seater. We got a good pilot with her. Lieutenant Green.
I thought I was supposed to be analyzing photos, not taking them.
Heck no. That happens back at HQ. You take them.
You mean that I have to fly?
No. We fly. You snack.
Sir, there must be some kind of mistake.
There's no mistake. You like mushrooms?
I hate mushrooms.
Kobe, Len, here's the replacement. Hunt! His name's Defonce. Captain Defonce. And he's American, too.
Do I know you?
Hobie Baker? It's me, Indiana Jones.
Professor Jones's son?
That's right.
I don't believe this, guys. This captain we've been sent is the same little punk that used to run errands for me back in college.
That's right. It's great to see you.
I think I'm gonna cry.
Captain Defonce is our replacement reconnaissance photographer. Captain Defonce, this is your pilot, Lieutenant Harold Green.
Hiya.
Hi. It's really only for 2 weeks, though. Then I'm gonna be reassigned. What's so funny?
Well, you see, the longest any reconnaissance guy ever lasted with us is 8 days.
Why's that?
Well, you're flying low and slow, and you got a camera in your hand when what you need is a gun.
Hey, Doc Breath, give him a break.
The kid ought to know, right?
No, it's all right. So, 8 days, huh?
But Harold is good. You'll be okay with him.
Yeah. Okay, everybody stand by the plane.
The French flying ace is the best we got.
Looks like a walking accident.
Sorry I interrupted your little photographic session, but I've just downed what I think was Richthofen's brother.
You just couldn't resist getting in on the picture. I know. Come on, sir.
No. The picture first.
Okay, smile.
General Nivelle needs pictures of a reported arms buildup at the railroad yard in Ham. That's here. It's about 40 kilometers behind the lines. Lieutenant Green, you will take the new Sopwith and photograph the site with Captain Defonce. Carl and Hobie, you will fly escort for them. The rest of us will be making a diversionary patrol over Sector 2. Take off in 15 minutes. That's all, gentlemen. Good luck.
Hope you make it, kid.
Contact!
my trophy. I shot it down.
They've landed and we captured them trying to escape. They are our prisoners.
Look at the engine. I shot it to pieces, and that is why it landed. They are my prisoners.
Stop that looting! This prize belongs to Rittmeister von Richthofen.
Well, what do you know? Baron Manfred von Richthofen.
Reconnaissance, huh?
Captain Defonce, Lafayette Escadrille.
Lafayette Escadrille.
Yeah.
I should have known you by your tactics. Under the sun. Swift and sudden from behind.
Take him to the field hospital. See that he gets immediate medical attention.
So long, Indy.
Welcome to Germany. I have never bagged an American before. It would be an honor to have you as my luncheon guest at my aerodrome. It is only 15 kilometers from here. As a boy, I always wanted to be a cowboy. My mother will enjoy this little souvenir of the American Wild West.
They're not back.
What happened? Well, we saw them dive from the line. The way back should have been clear.
I'd like to go back and take a look. I can dodge in and out there again.
Okay, take my plane. It's ready to go.
And what about you? Why are you fighting, Herr Rittmeister?
My brother, Baron von Richthofen, is a hunter, Captain. He has spent his whole life stalking prey with a gun. If there were no enemy in the air today, he would be out hunting wild boar. Goering.
The newspapers have defined us as medieval knights, plunging into battle with these flying machines as our handsome steeds, adorned with colorful scarves like feathered plumes.
Surprised you don't paint your planes bright red. Quite. This Nungesser, Monsieur Skull and Crossbones, you know him? He landed at our aerodrome this morning. Ah, so he is back from his injuries. We suspected he tried to down my brothers this morning, but Lothair here managed to flutter home. His tail feathers are a little ruffled, however. Sergeant Pepper, as Lothair's older brother, I feel obliged to avenge Monsieur Nungesser's attempt on his life. I, Baron von Richthofen, challenge all Skull and Crossbones to a duel alone tomorrow at dawn. Who will volunteer to drop this message on the Lafayette Escadrille aerodrome?
I will be honored to carry this message, Manfred. And now I would like to propose a toast. To victory!
Excuse me, Rittmeister. Anthony Falker has arrived in the field.
Ah, excellent. Well, Captain, is your ride? It's over for you. Internment for the rest of the war. Goodbye.
Thanks.
Sergeant. Yes? I want you to paint my albatross red.
Red? Your plane will be visible for miles. You cannot hide. It's too bold.
I do not need to hide from anyone. We are bold, and we will let them know it. Just paint it.
What happened?
We got shot down. Green was captured.
German plane over the field!
How do you know? I had lunch with him.
You what?
It's a challenge to a duel. One-on-one with Nunga, sir.
He's right. It's a challenge to a duel over the castle at Saint Quentin tomorrow at dawn.
Tomorrow at dawn? But Charles was already gone to Paris.
Well, then we better go get him.
Yeah.
Oh, we can dare and we can do, united men and brothers too. The gallant footsteps to pursue and change our country's story. Our hearts astound and God has sing, for soon 'tis known for when to sing. So there we go again, the name of Gary Owen in glory.
That's Charles's car.
That's a German staff car.
It's his prized possession. Figures.
Well. I seem to have finally got Richtofen where I want him.
Are you going alone?
Of course. We may be at war, but we are still gentlemen. He shall be alone, and so shall I. But perhaps Defense will join me and take some photos of my victory.
Oh, no,
You brought the challenge. Then it's settled. Now, drink, Captain. To the defeat of Richtofen.
Charlie got him. Then the rest of the German squadron showed up.
Did she ripped off and go down?
Not exactly, but he was hit.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just hope Nungesser makes it. There. You did it, Indy.
The Red Baron going down. Wow.
What? Hey, guys! Hobie, Indy, Carl, come on out here!
Whoa!
Charles! Captain Defense.
Hey, we thought you were dead.
Just another one of my bumpy landings in no man's land.
We did it, sir. Look.
Bravo! Richtofen is going to be furious when he sees what the press make of this, eh?
I thought you got him.
No confirmation. We think he made it back. But it was a good fight, eh?
Let's hope Richtofen doesn't find out who took this picture.
You were lucky it was only a small leak, and the fire did not spread.
Yes, the old albatross brought me home again. We have been through much together, but I do look forward to this new plan. Walker, you have outdone yourself. This time you have created an unrivaled gun platform with wings.
This plane can twist and turn like a hornet. Climb faster than anything you've had before.
I must get back to Paris before they find out I have been flying. You will have to continue fighting without me.
What are my chances?
I have every reason to believe you'll make it, Indy. In fact, I am so sure, I promise you I will be back here with champagne when your assignment is up and drive you back to Paris myself.
Thanks.
Thank you. We have dealt Richtofen a blow he will never forget. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Look, flying cameramen there to record the kill so all can see. Like this Belgian captain with Nungesser.
Do not worry yourself, Lothar. I will make it a priority to deny them the pleasure of filming my death. I believe the heart of the matter is very simple. To shoot down the cameraman first.
The young aviator lay dying, and as 'neath the wreckage he lay, to the mechanics around him, these parting words he did say. 2,000 wings you'll find in my stomach, 3 spark plugs are safe in my lung. The prop is in splitters inside me, to my fingers the joystick has clung. Take the cylinders out of my kidneys, the connecting runs out of my brain. From the small of my back take the crankshaft, and assemble the engine again. Take the cylinders out of my kidneys, the connecting runs out of my brain. From the small of my back take the crankshaft, and assemble the engine again.
Intelligence has reported a new German airfield somewhere in this area, closer to our lines than ever before. They believe it to be the home base of those large night bombers that have been raiding Paris. Photographs of this area may reveal that they are there. We'll do our best to draw enemy fire, Captain. But there's no denying that this will be a dangerous mission indeed. I'm sorry it comes on your last day here.
Seems like that's always the way it is. you guys should have that.
Yeah, thanks. More ghosts. Hey, did you hear the news?
No, what?
Wilson declared war on Germany this morning. America's in the war.
No kidding.
This squadron will probably be turned over to the U.S. Army.
I'll be getting some of the best fighting men I know. You guys really took care of me. I just hope I never have to fly again.
Ready, Captain? I haven't got all night.
Coming.
Au revoir, mes amis.
Au revoir.
At least he's out of danger.
What's the rush?
They've given me a special assignment. Very hush-hush. I have to report at 1200 hours.
Well, goodbye, Charles. It's been an experience.
Au revoir.
Ah, yes. Captain Defonse. You did very well on your first assignment. Pleased it.
You have heard of Anthony Fokker?
The German aircraft designer, yes, sir. He designed the Fokker DR-1 triplane. And he also invented the machine gun designed to shoot through the blades of a propeller.
You're right, except in one important particular. Monsieur Fokker is not German, he is Dutch. Since Holland is neutral, he could have chosen to work for the Allies or for the Germans. Unfortunately, he chose the Germans.
Your mission is to contact Fokker and persuade him to defect to us. If he accepts, tell him that another agent will get to him and make arrangements to get him out of Germany. The British have already offered him £2 million to work for them.
We are offering him even more. Good luck.
Report to room 13B, and they will brief you.
Thank you, sir. Hi, I'm Captain Defonse.
Come inside. Come inside. Don't give your name. Don't ever give your name. We are expecting a Captain D.
Yeah, that's me. I'm Captain D.
Good. We have your papers here. Corporal G, you have the papers for Captain D?
Please sit down, Captain D. Your name is Fritz Diefenbacher. You're the manager of a small dye factory outside Berlin. These are your travel papers to Hanover.
Hanover?
And the address of the firm that makes naval uniforms. This is your certificate of exemption from German military service because of defective eyesight.
Right.
If you'd sign those documents, please. Those are your documents, Captain D.
What do I do now?
Go to room 13C.
Hiya, I'm Captain D.
Oh, Captain Defonse, come in. Your mission is very interesting, and we have been working very hard for you. Captain Defonse, gentlemen. First, here is your suit.
My suit?
Don't worry, it is your size. It will fit you, but not too well.
Show him the pocket.
A map of Hanover and one of the countryside between Dusseldorf and Hanover. Also secret pockets in here, and in here.
And the shoes?
Oh, shoes. The right shoe. Slide back the heel, lens, film, and satin.
So
With these materials and a box with a hole in it, you can make a camera.
Oh, right. I remember that.
We were not told that you would need one, but we thought we had better make sure.
So is there anything in the left shoe?
Of course. Put it on, stomp and twist with the heel.
Knife. Great.
Francois, the bagage.
It is a fitted suitcase. Airbrush, razor, hair oil.
Oh, I never use hair oil.
It is not hair oil. It is invisible ink.
Don't forget the spectacles.
Sure.
Spectacles.
Your suit. You must wear these to maintain your disguise from the Germans. And you must use them for reading. Your suitcase.
And the shoes.
Let me know how the knife works. We haven't tried that one before.
Right. So is there anything else?
I don't think so. A secret pocket for the document, naturally. But they'll tell you about that in room 13A.
13A.
Voila!
Captain Henry Defonce?
Yes, sir?
Captain, please sit down. Anthony Fokker usually works at his aircraft factory near Berlin. It is impossible to reach him there because he's closely watched at all times. However, we have discovered that he's shortly to begin a journey to the naval base at Alhorn. Some sort of official inspection tour. Alhorn is heavily guarded. We will never get you in there. However, along the way, tomorrow night, Fokker will be staying at a hotel in Hanover for one night. It will be our only opportunity to reach him.
So
you leave for Hanover tonight, arriving there at dawn. Find the Hotel Franz Josef. There you will contact the hall porter, Max. Your password throughout will be, "It's a long way from Le Havre." The reply being, "You are Captain D."
Yes, sir.
Do not be late. You must give this letter to Max. It contains our proposals to Fokker. Max must deliver it to him tomorrow at 6 p.m. when he is dressing for dinner. You will stand by and wait for a reply. Hopefully, he will meet you to discuss his terms.
I'll be there.
Here is the letter. Place it in the secret pocket and guard it with your life.
Yes, sir.
Because we don't really mind if the Germans find it. They know we are trying to bribe Fokker. Of course, if they do find it, they will shoot you. Here are your travel instructions. Leave immediately. Take bus 127 southeast out of Paris. After about 2 hours, you will get off at the end of Moulin Roulet, the last stop before entering the military zone behind the front. From the crossroads, go north. Walk 2 miles until you reach a signpost for Le Havre. Beyond will be a group of ruined buildings. Turn on the path and go to the old farmhouse. There you will find Maurice. He will get you into Germany.
Hi. I was sent by the travel agent to inquire about Maurice.
It's a long way from...
Yes, come in.
You are late. This is not the kind of operation you could be late for. It is vital you take off at sunset.
Take off? What do you mean, fly? I wasn't supposed to have to fly again.
How do you think you will get into Germany?
Well, by train.
No, we fly you in.
I really don't much like flying.
Don't worry. We're the best pilot in France and the safest. He's been on dozens of missions and always returned.
Captain D, I should have realized.
Charles?
Indy, we will have one last adventure together.
Not the last, I hope.
Have no fear. I am more than a match for all the guns of Germany. I will deliver you safely to your destination and get you back again.
Charles, has this ever been done before?
Well, not exactly in this manner, but we will succeed. Whether it's flying or spying, one must always be willing to improvise. To just take what you've been given, add some imagination to it, and just charge ahead. Full throttle, and no brakes.
It's getting dark. We'd better get the plane out.
What is this?
It's the parachute.
A parachute? What's it for?
Didn't they tell you? That is how spies are dropped behind enemy lines.
What?
You jump out of the airplane with it.
I'm not gonna...
It's the latest experimental model. Small enough to wear on your back. No, just climb aboard and sit down.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Charles, please keep your hands on the stick!
You know, the first thing I shall do when this war is over, I'm going to fly the Atlantic.
That's impossible!
Not if I do it alone. That would save fuel. Just me and the sky and my little beauty. Come on, up we go. Let's visit the moon.
No, no, no!
Wake up, my boy. We are there. This is Hanover. I said I would get you to your destination.
Well, where are you supposed to pick me up?
See there, the Krupstein ruins. We can rendezvous there in the field beside them tonight. Ready to jump?
But I've never landed with a parachute!
It's easy. Put your feet together, bend your knees, and roll forward. Jump!
I can't!
I said jump! Don't forget to pull the gun!
Hallo. Wer sind Sie? Was tun Sie hier?
Ich heiße Frisch Diefenbacher. Ich bin ein Geschäftsmann.
Zeigen Sie mir Ihre Papiere.
Ah, ja.
Was ist das?
Yes? How can I help you?
Are you Max?
Yes. Do you have a reservation?
It's a long way from the Havre.
You are Captain D.
Is Fokker still here?
Yes, but,
Achtung! Müssen Sie das Gewehr?
there's been a change in schedule.
He's leaving?
Yes.
See if you can delay him. I'll get the letter.
All right. Excuse me, mein Herr Fokker. There's a gentleman wishes to have a word with you. He said something about unfinished business.
What? Where is he?
Herr Fokker, will you hurry, please? We will miss the train.
Yes, coming. Thank you, Max.
Thank you very much.
I've got it. Where are they going?
To catch the train to Alholm.
Well, where's the station? Maybe I can catch it before the train leaves.
Well, you could, but I doubt you'll be able to speak with him. They watch him very closely.
Then I'll get on the train. I can stop when it goes to the laboratory.
But wait!
What?
You can borrow my bicycle.
Right.
And there is a shortcut to the station.
Listen, go to the Krupstein ruins. Look for a Charles Nungerson. He'll be by a biplane.
What do I do if you don't show up tonight?
Improvise!
Stop! You have no ticket.
Right, one ticket to Alhorn.
You must come to the ticket office. You wait. You have to have a ticket.
Stuart! Stuart!
I'm sorry, Admiral Werner, but I must disagree with you. In my opinion, the day of the Zeppelin is over.
Yeah, they're too slow. They're much too vulnerable to anti-aircraft fire.
For bombing enemy cities, perhaps. Ah, Stuart, schnapps. 3 schnapps.
The secret of bombing enemy cities is high-altitude bombing. And that can only be carried out by aircrafts that can fly in, drop their bombs, and then swiftly retire.
There are some very interesting new developments that we would like you to see at Alhorn.
We would be honored to have your involvement in some of our more challenging design problems.
Tell me, mein Herr, do you happen to know Willihard Forssmann?
That's sweet. Of course. He's a maniac.
Or a genius?
Yes, one of those so-called geniuses who is always inventing crazy things. The shell-proof tank, a one-man submarine.
Ah, you wait till you see his latest invention. It'll change your mind, I think, and the course of the war.
So what is this secret weapon?
I'm so sorry, but I cannot tell you that. You must wait till you see it for yourself at Alhorn.
I hope it is worth the journey. The North Sea is always so cold this time of year.
I'm Airfocus valet, Fritz Diefenbach. I was told to ride with you.
Nobody told me.
What?
All right, get in.
How long will it take him to get there?
He's to be there by now. If he can somehow meet with Fokker, he could be here by nightfall.
Well, it better be. Improviser or not. I have to get out of here tonight. There's too much risk waiting out here in the open.
And not so much as where Captain D is going.
Who is this?
This is Fritz Diefenbaker. He is with them.
Your papers, please.
Of course. There you are.
All right. But you should have a bus.
Certainly, I'll tell the general. Which of these bags are mine here, Focus?
Here you are. Focus room 6, upstairs.
Mynheer Fokker, I'm Captain D. Did you get my note?
What are you doing here?
I told him I was your valet.
Come inside. You were supposed to meet me in Hanover.
I know. I ran into some trouble.
Since you are my valet, kindly put my case upon the bed.
Got a letter for you. I think you know the subject.
I hope the French have a better idea of my worth than the British. That's General von Kramer. Hide, quickly. Don't let them see you.
I was
Now.
told to wait for a reply.
Aha. There you are. We were afraid you had given us the slip. Now I believe you have not yet met our Swedish friend, Willehad Forsman. Forsman, this is Mynheer Anthony Fokker.
Honored, I am sure.
I understand you have a surprise for me today. I cannot wait to be amused.
Amused? I am not here to entertain, Herr Fokker. There are others in Germany who have ideas about flying, too.
Perhaps. But I have seen very little outside my factory that I would encourage Germany to invest in.
You are only versed in the design of small pursuit aeroplanes. My machine is in an entirely different class.
Well, indeed.
We have chosen Alhorn as the base for his new machine because here we can keep it far from the view of the enemy.
When can I see it?
The aircraft will be arriving at the airfield at 4 o'clock. Unfortunately, a storm has delayed its departure from Polb. But as I understand it, the weather is clearing now, so there are drinks and refreshments downstairs, and we have arranged a special tour of the hydrogen factory.
Shall we go?
I think our tame lions do not much like each other. You wait till Fokker sees the pole giant, then the fur will really fly.
Manager of the Franz Joseph Hotel, Hanover, Germany. Kindly reserve a room for me on the night of April 7th. Yours faithfully, Fritz Diefenbach. From Alhorn Naval Base. I've delivered the letter and await response. There's a secret weapon at the base, and I hope to report further on this. But if I fail, further inquiries should be made. Captain D.
Excuse me. I've got a letter I need to post for Mynheer Fokker, but I don't have a stamp. Do you know where?
Give it to me. I'll put it with the officers' letters.
Great. Thank you.
Now this is where we break down the water to extract the hydrogen for the Zeppelin fleet. And over here, we are working on a new process to refine helium.
If we can perfect the method, we will eliminate the explosive dangers of hydrogen.
So this is not the place for you to light up one of your big fat cigars, Herr Fokker.
here with Mynheer Fokker, the aircraft designer. He gave me permission to look around.
I suggest you go back to your room.
Right. Thanks.
Come inside, quickly. I'm not interested.
May I ask why, sir?
Of course. The French have offered me hardly more money than the British. If they had doubled their offer, I might have considered it. But, as it is, besides, the facilities for my work would not nearly be as good in France as they are in Germany.
Yes, but you're working for the Hun, the warmongers. You're making machines that kill.
Oh, come now, Captain. What am I to call you? Captain D? You have come here to encourage me to put my genius to work for France instead of Germany. But you still want me to make machines that kill. You do not want me to make Christmas decorations.
But certainly it means something to you whether your work is put to the use of good or evil.
The Germans think they represent the good, and the French are evil. I'm a scientist, not a philosopher.
Yes, sir, but for the sake of humanity, don't you think...
Humanity. Wars come and go. Humanity suffers, but knowledge and science survive. I will tell you something else. Governments spend millions on research for machines of war when they will not pay a penny for medical research in times of peace. So, science thrives in times of war. And in the end, when the war is over, it is very often humanity that benefits. You must go. We are going to see Forstmann's invention in half an hour. Take your suitcase and go. And for God's sake, don't get caught.
It's good to see you.
Greetings, Herr Admiral. General von Kramer.
What are you doing here?
I was wounded last week, and I'm on leave to recover. Nothing so serious.
We invited him to see Forstmann's latest invention. Naturally, we wanted the opinion of Germany's greatest pilot as well.
great occasion, sir.
Absolutely. Do I know you?
I came with Admiral Werner, sir.
Oh, of course. I'm afraid I...
Well, you couldn't be expected to remember us all, sir.
No, quite so. Such a large party. Are those Dutch cigars you have there?
Yes, sir. Mr. Fokker was kind enough to give them to me.
Don't forget, we're not allowed to smoke them in the restricted area, or there's hydrogen in them.
Oh, no, sir. Of course not.
But I do particularly like Dutch cigars. I wonder if I might rob you of 2 or 3.
Absolutely.
Here you are. Thank you. Much obliged.
Not at all.
Already we have 6 of these beautiful monsters here beside the North Sea. And I have great plans for them in the future. The British fleet will soon discover. Hey, Captain?
Yes, indeed, Admiral.
Do you know, the first plane with a tubular frame that I ever built was in a Zeppelin hangar in Baden-Baden.
And is the story true about the synchronized machine gun and the windmill?
I remembered as a boy throwing stones between the sails of a windmill. An inspiration, but a very practical one. Genius is not enough, Forceman. One must be practical as well.
You think that I am not?
I'm about to discover.
There it is.
What do you think, Herr Fokker?
Very impressive. No cable bracing, I see.
The insides of the fuselage are lined with a second plywood layer. With 10 engines in that wingspan, there is no problem.
This plane, we can now bomb New York. Do you agree, Herr Fokker?
Possibly. Let me work on it. I will make it fly twice as far. General, will you really drop bombs on New York?
Oh, yeah. First of all, we will drop leaflets. To persuade them to withdraw from a war they should never have entered in the first place.
Halt up there! Stop that man!
That's not one of our officers. Stop him!
I that man down!
Ach, Gott im Himmel!
If I don't leave now, I'll lose the moonlight, and then who knows where I'll end up. Come on, spin the prop like I showed you. Mission accomplished.
Full throttle.
No brakes.
Bon, tell me about it on the moonlit ride home. Contact!
watching HBO.